This is episode 46 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and it's my turn to be under the gun as I played my round one Kyber match on Saturday, very late Saturday, and boy, was it an interesting one.
Yeah, so give us the lowdown, Sam.
So, I am flying Separatists, one of the very few people in Kyber to be flying Separatists, because this is the hill I'm going to die on, so be it. And my opponent was flying Rebels, like pretty standard Rebel stuff. So, but I'll run through the lists, because my Kyber list is Pre-Vizsla in the Gauntlet, and his ability is while you perform an attack, if the defender's initiative is equal to or greater than yours, you can spend 2 charges to roll 1 additional die. And he has 2 charges that recur, so you can do it every other turn. And he's I3, so he hits quite a lot of people, and especially nowadays, he hits basically everyone because everyone's running like all the value high initiative guys. And he's rocking up with Trick Shot, Zam Wessel, the Swivel Wing, and I had 3 points left over, so Conan Nets. I chose that over Seismic Charges because the rest of my list kind of wants the rocks to stick around.
I mean,
and
Ion.
he's
Sorry, I say Ion is
Yeah.
very good in 2.5, so.
yeah. You'll have some fun with that Conan Net in this game, trust me. So he's accompanied by General Grievous, who has Outmaneuver, Impervium Plating, Shield Upgrade, and Solar Swan. And I was messing around with Afterburners, but I just decided that Shield Upgrade is a guaranteed he will live a little bit longer. And I feel like in this list, I just need my 2 big hitters to live longer. So that's why I've gone against Afterburners, which will probably net me some really cool plays. I just want the guaranteed, like, this guy has an extra hull. Because, yeah, 8 hull behind 2 dice. Yes, please. Well,
Yeah,
I'm Manaroo.
exactly, that's pretty good, as I well know.
And then the rest of this is 4 Vulture Droids, and they are there to score me points from objectives, which this week will be basically none because it's chance encounter. So I think this is actually my list's worst matchup, like worst scenario to play, because this list tends to win on scenario rather than actually killing the opponents. And that's that. And my opponent, Danny Gleason, he's brought Rebels with Wedge Antilles, with Marksmanship, Proton Torpedoes, R3 Astromech, Hull Upgrade, and Servo Motor S-Foils. With him, he's got Gina Moonsong in the B-Wing, with Marksmanship, Fire Control System, Jamming Beam, Auto Blasters, Ion Torpedoes, and S-Foils. Blount in the Z95. Ahsoka in the A-Wing with Extreme Maneuvers, Deadeye Shot, Proton Rockets, Shield Upgrade, and Vectored Cannons. And Derek Clivian in the A-Wing with Vectored Cannons. So, not the most standard Rebel beefy stuff, but it's got all the good things in.
I mean, yeah, you've got beefy B-Wing, a reasonably beefy T65. You know, Wedge will take a hit. The A-Wings are going to nip around fast. I mean, obviously probably not on this scenario, but good for the other scenarios for grabbing objectives. Yeah, interesting list.
Like Ahsoka's a 6 hull. Sorry, was it no 5 hull Ahsoka? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like 3 agility, 3 force. Yeah, and so I brought the Finger Rock and 2 big rocks, and my opponent brought, I believe, the Finger Rock. I think that's one of the new Mando rocks and a debris cloud.
Yes, it is.
I think that's a new Mando rock.
Yes, it is.
It's a new Mando something. It's either a debris cloud. No, it's a debris cloud. It's a debris cloud. I remember that because, stuff happens to it. And essentially, I got first player for setup, and I essentially deployed a giant triangle around the middle because I've got a giant ship and I want to just have space. And my opponent scattered all of his rocks around the center objective, which I think was interesting. So I've got these giant big corners that my gauntlet can hide in. There's rocks that my vultures can sit on that are near the objective, so they can just park there and score me points if my opponent leaves. And then other than that, we've got a bit of a dogfight in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly looks interesting.
So I will preface this game by my opponent was very open in that he's very new to X-Wing, and that he and his friend basically both signed up to Kyber just to get some games in because they'd only just started. And I was like, excellent. So, to anyone watching the YouTube, this I don't know if you can see the video in this, but this video is about 2 hours long for a 75-minute game. Admittedly, there's a big break in the middle of it somewhere where I left it recording, but TTS crashed. So there is that. But we'll try and whip through this quite quickly. There's this is a 2 hour video. There's only like 6 turns because we were doing a lot of talking, and I had to explain Zam a lot.
I mean,
and the separatist upgrades have lots of words.
Yeah. For a new player, CIS is probably quite hard to grapple with.
Yeah, but it was good. It was a good game.
2 seconds.
It was a really nice chat.
Cool. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So like I said, my opponent, he said he was quite new, and I'll fast forward through this as quick as I can. I imagine if you're listening to the podcast, you won't even notice because Sean will edit it beautifully. But there's a lot of downtime and talking. But we'll see what we do. Anywho, I set up, and I win first place. Pretty much everything of mine is going first, I think, except Grievous goes after Derek. And that's pretty much the way the game goes the entire time, is everything of mine goes first, and then Grievous goes after Derek. Sometimes he even goes after Blount. Good lord. So I set up one Vulture Droid in my dead center, aiming directly at a giant rock that will land him at range 2 of the center objective, just in case my opponent goes slow, and I can just sneak a point. The other 3 Vultures are deployed in my bottom right, just spaced out so they can turn in, and the Gauntlet is deployed 90 degrees facing towards the Vultures so he can turn in around them. Then I put Grievous in the far corner at a nice jaunty angle so he can decide where he's going depending on what my opponent does. And my opponent basically scattered all of his ships across one half of his side of the board. He had Gina towards the middle, and then from right to left, Ahsoka, Derek, Blount, and Wedge, just basically spreading across one half of the board. That honestly looks like it's just gonna sweep down the opposite side of the board and catch whoever it catches, which is quite interesting. So he has Wedge on the outside, and we're both trying to flank each other essentially, and neither of us want the other to flank each other.
Yeah, if I was your opponent, I think I'd gun down fast and try and catch Grievous.
Yeah.
If you turn away, then it's not really cost him anything. You're on the run, I suppose.
Yeah. But... so for the purposes of this video, so I set up my spectator camera on TTS to catch the top player board, but he put all his cards way back, and I didn't want to be like, can you put them forwards? Because I was like, if he likes it, if he's comfortable with it back there, then I'm not going to be like,
no, that's fair.
Please be that. So I'll try and remember the damage done. We'll try and guess it through this, but you can see any damage that goes onto my ships at the very least. So let's go. Setup is done.
What we need to do is get you guys the victory point counters so that you can have them in game.
Yeah, but because we actually had talked about that, because there's a chance encounter, we were just like, we'll just work it out at the end.
Fair enough.
Because if anyone scored a point off the scenario, we'd count it, but it's mostly death, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I was like, I don't know the points of your ships, so we'll work it out at the end and see what happens. And let us play. So I just speed up. I can't remember when exactly we start. Keep going. Yeah, see, this is what I mean by lots of downtime. Explaining exam. Okay, I'm setting dials. Roll for priority, and I'll just speed up to the end of everyone's moved, and I'll give everyone a go. But essentially, my plan is I'm jetting forward, setting up my formation, and Grievous is being a bit squirrely. Okay, so here we are. I've jetted forward with the Vultures. I've turned Vizsla in behind. My center Vulture has done exactly what I said he would, and he's gone onto the rock. And Grievous did a 1 straight, and then he boosted towards my end of the board, because at that point I'd seen that Derek had done a 5 straight, and I didn't want to have anything to do with Blount and Wedge.
Yeah, that's fair.
Gina's gone towards the center of the board, and Ahsoka is just following Gina. So we've got an interesting split. He's split the A-Wings up, and now so my opponent's in a 2 and a 3, and I've got my clump of vultures and Vizsla, a random vulture, and Grievous on his own. And I don't think there's any action. I think we check arcs. I think Derek's like out of arc on the vulture, and nothing happens. No one scores a point, and away we go. Don't worry, the action gets very, very spicy in a few turns.
The A wing and the B wing range 2 then?
Yeah, the A wing and the B wing were range 2 of the point.
Oh, that's further than I thought then.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 straight will do it. If you're set up at the end. And so into the next turn, I try to pounce on Gina. And so here we get to the bit. So I move all my vultures, do a 2 bank, and I stagger their barrel rolls so that they're in a little bit of a V, aiming at Gina and Ahsoka, where I think they're going to come through. And I move my vulture off the rock, barrel roll calculate. So I'm literally gunning to try and pinch the 2 ships my opponent has on the right-hand side of the board. And then Vizsla's going to 3 bank up in between them, and I'm just hoping to catch one of them. But for that, my opponent did a 3 sloop with Derek straight over the debris. And so to me, this looks like he's blatantly put in the wrong
wrong sloop, yeah.
Yeah, the wrong sloop. And I was like, okay, like, just take it back, because like there's no way that's intentional. And he said he was new, said he'd played TTS Legion, and he was getting used to all the commands in X-Wing. I was like, look, just undo it, take it back. It's painfully obvious that is not the way you meant to sloop. If it had just been a bang, I'd been like, sorry, like that kind of looks like you want to go there, but have been caught out by I've moved.
Yeah.
So we undo that, and I don't know if he likes it or not, because so he does the sloop the other way.
But at least that way, if that's the way he meant to go, and I agree with you that I don't think you'd even attempt to sloop over the debris like that, regardless of how new you are, because this way gives you a 2 bank blue on the next turn to then come back over round the top of that obstacle and into the center.
Yeah. Like I just saw that. I was like, look, just take it back, mate. It's painfully obvious that was not the way you wanted to go. Because like the sound he made when Derek moved, he's like, oh. Although, with that in mind, you'll see in a second that unfortunately, maybe he did want to go that way. So everyone else moves. We've got locks being taken, and then Wedge bumps into Derek. So Wedge and Blount banked in towards the center of the board, and Wedge has just bumped into the back of Derek. Gina's moved forward, taken a focus. She's at range 1 of my Vulture droid. Vizsla can see her. All my droids can see her. And Ahsoka has moved forward slightly and taken a target lock on my lead Vulture. And then Grievous went, no, Wedge, I'm out. 5 straight down my end of the board, and I boosted in towards the center just so I could turn around if necessary. And unfortunately, Wedge does take a damage from bumping into Derek. So first blood to me.
Well, first blood to the dice.
First blood to the dice, but that's me. And so so my plan's going great. I've got a turn where it's essentially 5 versus 2.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, does your back Vulture blue get range on Gina? Because that looks close to me.
I don't think he does. I can't remember exactly. I think when I went to the shooting, I assumed he wouldn't, so I started from the front, so I'd be able to use his calculate with the early ones if I had to.
It makes sense.
So, and we check Wedge. Gina, straight range 1 into my Vulture droid. He gets focus crit. Spends the focus for hit crit, and I roll 2 of 8s. Because sometimes vultures can live if they want to.
Looks like
I do spend my calculate for that.
I was going to say, look like you spent your calculator for that. So
yeah, but then so here's where I find out that blue likely has no shot. Is that Ahsoka goes, and she is range 3 of Vizsla and 2 of my droids. So she goes for the droid that she's got a target lock on. Gets a hit blank and doesn't use the target lock and I was like, well, he's saving it for the proton rocket.
Yeah.
Like at this
makes
range,
sense.
Ahsoka's pretty safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Blount has a shot into Red Vulture Droid. I pick up 4 dice. He gets hit crit, and I get out of 4 dice, evade blank blank focus. I've spent my calculate, so I take a damage, and I believe that is a loose stabilizer.
I mean, you're finally just straight onto the rock, surely.
Luckily for my Vulture Droid, there is a rock directly ahead of him. But now I've weathered the storm, and it's time to. It is my attempt. I'm going to put the pain into Gina. So obviously Grievous has nothing. I flip both charges of Vizsla to get 4 dice into Gina Moonsong. I have a focus, and I get 2 hits, which is average, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. You'd hope for 3 bits of paint.
Yeah. So I believe I get quite lucky on this, and I actually put a damage card onto Gina with 3 vulture shots and the gauntlet.
So that's half points.
I can see. Yeah, that's over half points on Gina, which is 2 points.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this game is I basically because I explained a lot about Zam to my opponent, he then got hyper wary of it. And so Vizsla doesn't get shot for a long time.
Yeah.
And so Zam sits there on no charges. But I'm kind of fine with that.
I mean, if your large expensive ship isn't getting shot, then you're not giving up points. So
yeah,
I think especially in chance encounter, that's a good thing. Maybe the other ones where you're tallying up other objective points, it's not as important. But
so at the end of that, I've heavily traded up. I took 1 damage on a Vulture Droid because Ahsoka whiffed. Gina put 1 damage in. Blount, Gina didn't do damage. Blount put the damage in. Wedge was out of range, and Derek couldn't do anything. Wedge and Derek are kind of in an odd spot because that debris cloud that Derek had the takesy backsy for is now kind of in their way. Wedge can go forward perfectly fine, but Blount's in a bit of trouble. Yeah. And Derek isn't going to be part of the fight for a couple of turns. Meanwhile, I've got all my Vulture Droids and Vizsla bearing down on either Gina or Ahsoka. I believe I end up just going for Gina here because I just didn't think I'd be able to catch Ahsoka.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the B-Wing's reasonably predictable. It's not got lots of, oh my god, I'm going to juke and jive out of the way.
Oh wait, no, this time I don't. This turn the Vultures actually just go straight. Because 2 of them are stressed, and if I turned them in to clear the stress, they'd likely block the gauntlet. So I actually just go straight at Ahsoka at varying speeds in attempt to catch her out and block her on one of them. Because if I figured if I blocked her on one of them, chances are she'd like balloon. You'll see when I move. Chances are she'd like balloon back to the front one, and I'd have a max amount of shots. So every card I assign on Vizsla is basically the take a target lock on someone who shoots me until I get charges. I'll just lay that down. So here come the dials. So my loose stabilizer droid does a 3 straight, lands on the rock, and fixes the loose stabilizer. Everyone moves, and I overthink myself with the Vulture droids. Is everyone moves forward, and they all sort of shimmy slightly to try and not line up the bullseye if Ahsoka bumps into the first one. And so I do a barrel roll with my back to, and so one's directly in front of Ahsoka, one's slightly behind him, and the other one has barrel rolled a way out. But the idea is he can turn in later, and you'll see in a sec. If I hadn't barrel rolled,
I say surely even a 2 straight probably jumps over yellow. Which
no, the 2 straight doesn't jump over yellow.
All right, 3 straight. 3 straight would.
3 straight absolutely does. But what Ahsoka does is something cool. Anyway, Vizsla banks into the middle just to be a giant bum face, essentially. Like, he has a front arc, he has a back arc. I didn't know where Gina was going to go, but I figured even if Gina bumps into me, I might have a shot. And if I don't have a shot into Gina, there's 3 ships on the other side of the board that I could just fire at.
Yeah.
And Derek just basically clears his stress and starts the long way around the back. Grievous hard turns in and barrel rolls to the left, trying to catch Blount and Wedge as they come around that rock. Blount does a 1 hard and focuses, and then Wedge bumps into Blount. It doesn't take a damage, but he still gets no action. but he does have range 3 into my ships, which normally you'd be like, huh,
but it's Wedge.
range 3, no action, doesn't matter, but it's Wedge. So yeah, he always has more dice. And he elects to go into Grievous because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to give Vizsla the likely target lock because I explained what both the cards did, and so he had an idea of what I likely had. And Gina did bump into the Gauntlet, and Ahsoka. That is, I believe it's a 4 or 5k that she's landed there.
Yeah,
which would be right where Blue would be if I hadn't barrel rolled.
Did you say that she had instinctive aim on
her? No, she has extreme maneuvers.
Okay.
And Deadeye shot. But she's right behind the Vulture droid she has a target lock on.
Yeah.
Which is a little annoying, but that's fine. So my Vultures are doing very little this round. So little. I think Yellow has a shot onto Derek and that's it. Anywho, he rolls crit with Wedge because I'm in his bullseye. And he changes the hit to a crit. I roll my 2 dice. I get evade, blank, and take a shield off Grievous. Then it's over to Gina, who shoots into Grievous, and I evade it this time. Ahsoka puts nothing into the Vulture droid, and then it's Grievous's turn, and I believe I just go into Gina here. Yeah, I go into Gina because I just figure she's almost dead. Let's try and finish her off.
That's fair.
But nothing happens. Like there's a lot of nothing happens.
So
except the Vulture droid does put damage into Derek.
I was gonna say, and it looked like the Gauntlet managed to squeeze one more onto Gina.
Yeah. So I went range 0 because I was like, there's no good target. Like range 3 is not a good target, and I'd rather take 3v1, even if I can't mod it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I believe that Yellow Vulture does plink off a damage off Derek, despite the fact that he's an A-wing at range 3 obstructed.
The curse of rolling 5 green dice.
Yeah, I did tell my opponent that the more green dice you roll, the more blanks they actually have on the
dice. Faces.
It's just a fact. But yeah, that was a bit of a nothing round. There's a few of these.
Well, that's boring considering you said there were only 6 and you've already completed round 3.
Yeah, like not. I mean, you know the result. You know the score I got at the end of the game. This is not a high scoring game.
That's true.
So I'm explaining Zam again to my opponent, and we are setting the dials. Gina's because Gina's just quickly checking her ability because if she has some at range 2, she has to pass off any stress she gained, and she did have a stress last round. So Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka is double stressed or wasn't quite in range. I can't remember exactly what happened there. Wait, Derek did a system phase boost, and then he's set up to turn around. I turn all my Vulture droids in, trying to catch this B-Wing, and just finally finish it off. The guy on the rock does a 90-degree turn to the right, trying to catch Ahsoka. Derek does a 2 straight, and then barrel rolls in, again, trying to get into the fight. Grievous does a 1 bank, a 2 bank to clear the stress, barrel rolls and focuses. Just trying to get behind Grievous and Wedge and Blount, so I can start using outmaneuver in my ability. But I don't manage it. Blount bumps into Grievous, which clears the way for Wedge, who finally gets to move and do an action. Move and bump into Pre-Vizsla. Gina does a 2k, and finds herself in front of a bunch of Vulture droids and Vizsla. And now we're in the melee. And Ahsoka cleared the stress by doing a 2 bank and I believe took an evade token. So Ahsoka's landed herself in the middle of 3 of my Vulture droids, although only 2 can shoot her. Derek is still kind of out in the wind. Gina's done a 2k just to get shots before she dies, and because she shoots before most of my list, she's going to do something. Wedge is range 0 in front of Vizsla, and Blount and Grievous are also kissing. So this is a bit of a weird one. I think most of my Vultures shoot into Wedge this round, which will probably tell you what happens to Gina.
Fair. I mean, if I'm Wedge here, if it's range 2, I think I go into your Vulture.
Yeah.
just so that you.
Pretty sure that's what he does.
So just so that you get the wedge effect, because it's just weight of dice then, and certainly if you don't have the dice, you can't mod with a load of calculates.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I know he goes into red because red has less health, I think. Or no, yeah, I have no. He must go into yellow. He goes into green. He goes into green. Deals 2 damage. That's pretty standard. Gina doesn't quite finish off the green vulture droid. Ahsoka does though. So 3 shots, a vulture droid dead. That's pretty par for the course. Grievous shoots into Blount. I get hit crit out of hand. He gets 2 evades out of hand. Blount shoots into Grievous. He gets hit out of hand. I get 2 evades.
Damn, your guy's dice was on fire.
Vizsla shoots out the back into Gina. It's range 1, and I trigger my ability. I get 3 hits, which kills Gina Moonsong. Derek shoots into a vulture droid and does nothing, and then all my vultures start piling into Wedge. Except for one who piles into us. No, one. I'm missing. One vulture droid shoots Wedge and deals like a damage, and then both my vultures next to Ahsoka do range 1 into her, and I believe don't do a whole lot. I think I've maybe plinked off 2 shields at this point.
All right, so you've killed Gina. You've put a damage card onto Wedge, which will not quite net your half point. No, that is half, isn't it? They're 4 and 2. Yeah, because they're 1 less than the T70, aren't they? 4 and 2.
The one on the far right. Yeah, that is Wedge actually. Yeah, isn't it?
So that's half on Wedge.
Wedge.
And if you've plinked the shields off Ahsoka, that's half on Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So you're ticking up the points. Not loads, but they are ticking up.
Yeah, honestly, I think my biggest problem this game is that Grievous didn't really do anything. I mean, he didn't give up points, so that's fine. But he hasn't done anything. Like, at all.
Yeah.
It's just been the vultures and pre-Vizsla. But, I mean, Vizsla can do it, right? That's why I brought him. Yeah, we've got 20 minutes left in the game. And the score is something along the lines of like 4-5, like 8-2.
Yeah, that is a low scoring.
Yeah. So here's my gamble: is Wedge and Vizsla are they bumped, right?
Yeah.
Wedge. So here's the thing. So Wedge took a red focus when he bumped. And the next turn, I drop my Coronet in the system phase. So my thought is, Wedge will go through it, maybe. The problem is I should have thought about this. He's stressed, so it's not like he's going to K-turn.
No.
So he's just going to want to clear the stress. And this is all fine so far, except I'm planning on stopping Vizsla and rotating to catch the Wedge when he goes through me over the Coronet.
And I'm guessing he won straight or 2 straight.
I think he won banks technically, but like either way, Vizsla's turned around and looking at his own Coronet.
Oh, and of course you can't do the janky scum contraband Jabba stuff, can you? So
well, yeah, it gets even better. Look where all my vulture droids are going as well. Luckily, it's not a bomb, so only one of them has to take it. Anywho, they've all literally. I'm literally pinning it all on. Wedge goes a little too fast. That was my this turn.
Fair.
Vizsla rotates. The droids all bank around, turn in to face where I think Wedge is going to be. And Grievous, I think it just does a 2 bank to clear his stress and maybe come back in the game in a turn. He just boosts away. Blount does a K turn. Ahsoka lands where I kind of was hoping Wedge would be, literally like at range 1 of 3 vulture droids and Vizsla. Derek has come in behind the vulture droid on the rock, so he's lined up a pretty good shot there, because this is like range 1 into a vulture droid who's taken some damage. That's pretty likely to kill him. Yeah, I can't remember what that roll was for. Oh, there's a wounded pilot somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but there's a wounded pilot somewhere.
Fair enough.
That's what that die was for. Yeah, so Wedge has a 1 bank and clears his stress and is at range 0 with the back of Pre-Vizsla. And so I'm like, oh, Well, like Coroner's still going to be there when my vultures move. Whoops.
Yeah, take a red focus.
And he takes a red focus. And so I inform him that now that I'm in swivel wing mode, I have 1 less agility. And I will say now, I think I get this wrong at the time, but I say, and because it's wedge, I have 0 agility. But that's not how it works at range 0, is it?
No, wedge's ability will not work at range 0 because you can't
So
remove dice.
And bam, this is where the game crashes. We reload it. Then we just speed through it quickly. I'm not quite sure why. It looks like my spectator screen just crashed. So now you're stuck with my actual view. Let me just slow this down a little bit. This is where I'm not quite sure. I must have forgotten to put the spectator view back on. So we've now got my view for the video. So Wedge has taken the shields off Vizsla and put a card on him. But finally, Zam is getting a charge. So hold on, we're going to have to go through really scattered stuff because now it's following my camera. Because I thought the spectator cam was going, so I didn't need to worry about how fast I was moving around.
That's all right. So you've got
I've got a lock onto Wedge
that you can't use this.
But I can't use.
But it's there.
But Ahsoka only has 1 shot.
It does just clip. Okay, nice.
Yeah, and I was basically explaining to him like, on TTS, always check because you just always check.
Yeah.
And so I'm still down to 1 dice. Ahsoka rolls hit focus, spends a force for 2 hits. I roll absolutely nothing, and I take 2 more damage. Get a charge back on Zam and move my lock over to Ahsoka. Grievous has nothing, and then Blount, I believe, rolls. Because turns out Blount's ability works because Wedge's range 0 to 1. And I take a lot more damage, and suddenly Vizsla's got 5 health left.
I was just saying that's starting to. So that's half on him, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I explained how Zam works when I have full charges. I don't gain a charge because I'm at full, and I can acquire a lock, but I don't because I want to kill Ahsoka.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so spend the lock, hit, crit.
Is that natties? Oh.
Yeah, that's natties.
Nah.
So the rest of this game. So I think now it's Derek shoots ineffectively into a vulture droid, I believe is what happens now. Oh no, he's shooting into Vizsla? He's shooting into Vizsla. Yeah, he's shooting into Vizsla. I took another damage. And now we are in Vulture Droid shoot at Ahsoka. I get hit crit. He gets 3 natties.
Oh god.
Vulture Droid into Ahsoka. I spend my calculate and another calculate. Hit crit.
So he's still got an evade.
Blank focus. Blank focus, and he still has an evade token.
So you spend the evade.
So he spends the force and an evade token. Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lucky Ahsoka.
Wait, hold on. Why is he dead? I'm pretty sure. He has spent the evade token. I don't know when this happened, but Ahsoka's died.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly how the sequence of events happened, but I believe Ahsoka died because she didn't have the force. That's what it was. She only had the evade, and she took hit crit on the hull.
Okay.
So I, not realizing this, roll my next vulture's attack into Ahsoka, and then he kindly lets me take it back and shoot Wedge. Like very kindly lets me take it back and shoot Wedge instead. I get a single crit, and he gets an evade. And we're back. And I've now got to work out how to deal with the Coronet. So I say, blue vulture droid, time to get ioned.
Yeah, surely you just yeet him through the Coronet onto the rock.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Ahsoka's dead, and now the mission is try and deal with, like, just kill Wedge. That is my mission, and hopefully Vizsla doesn't die. I will let this run through pretty quickly. Like, at this point, I'm kind of comfortably... I think I've got this, essentially.
Just out of curiosity, does the video feed look quite pixelized?
No, not for me.
Okay, it must be the Discord stream then, because it's very pixelized here.
Yeah, it's because I'm not a boost member of Discord, so it's only like 720 or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose, because when I record it, it records directly from the video, not from Discord. Are we what it is?
So I'm moving away. Hopefully, I will zoom out a little bit. So essentially, my rock vulture stays on the rock. My blue vulture runs through my coronet, takes damage, and lands on the rock. And my yellow vulture is like, I think this is the last turn. Time to get out of dodge and just live.
Fair.
Vizsla does a 2-bank to clear his stress, flip his wings back into normal mode, and he just takes a focus because, yeah, I've got a Vizsla boosted shot into Wedge. From Zam, so even if Wedge kills me, I will get to shoot him with Vizsla. Derek banks into the center of the board, and then he's just doing a little check. Grievous has a 1-bank. He's not doing anything. He boosts in the vague hope of doing stuff, but it fails, I think. Blount does a 1 straight and focus it, and no, takes a target lock onto Grievous. And then Wedge does a 1-bank to the left and bumps into Derek.
Interesting.
And I believe this is, yeah, it takes damage. Yeah, so bam, that's 2 out of the 5 hull gone on Wedge. That's half points on Wedge. Because he has a hull upgrade.
He has a hull upgrade. Cool.
So Wedge has a shot into many vultures and Vizsla. He takes Vizsla. Because why wouldn't you? He rolls 2 hits. I roll nothing. Bam, bam. I'm checking cards. I've got 7 damage onto Vizsla right now. I trigger Zam and I do a bonus attack into him. I get range 1, so I trigger my ability. This is 5 dice from Vizsla.
4 because you're at the back.
Oh, is it?
Because you're at the back, aren't
you? Yeah. And I deal a bunch of damage. He's not dead. Because it's not the best shot. We have Blount shooting into Grievous. Nothing happens. Then it's Vizsla's go again, and we just have range 1 out the back. I get nothing. Then we've got Derek shooting into Vizsla. Crit goes through. It's a direct hit, and Vizsla's dead.
Ooh, okay.
My soon-to-be Ion Vulture does nothing to Blount. I shoot into Wedge with Vulture, get nothing. Yeah. And I think that's it, because the timer's gone. And we count up points.
That must be close.
Oh, no, Wedge is dead, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, got 4. He's dead. Is he dead? I can't remember.
He's got 4 there, so if he's got a hull upgrade, he's got 1 left.
Yeah. I know I got 13, so I think Wedge might be dead. He just didn't put the card down.
Okay.
Let me see, like 6. No, wait, no, 6 for. Yeah, no, he isn't dead. He's halved. I got 6 for Ahsoka, 4 for Gina, 3 for Wedge.
Ahsoka's 6, is she?
Yeah, Ahsoka's 6. And bam, that was it.
Yeah, that looked interesting.
So, that was interesting. It was. I think my biggest mistake was actually losing the gauntlet. Because I didn't need to. I didn't need to do the stop. I could have just 2-straighted over Wedge.
Yeah.
Like, that gets me a lot of the same things. I mean, okay, maybe not even dropping the coronet. Like, if I save the coronet and realize that actually Wedge likely isn't going that fast through that because Wedge needs to start shooting.
Yeah, because I mean, Wedge isn't going to turn around because he's stressed. So if you jump over Wedge, he's got to move away. And then if he turns around the next turn, you could stop, rotate then, and you'd have a bit more distance, so you're getting range 3, etc.
Yeah.
To sort of nullify Wedge's ability.
And heck, I could have just gone after Blount at that point, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Let the Vulture droids try and deal with Wedge. Maybe that's a bad
idea. So I've just got this image of Wedge just swarming his way through Vulture droids. But yeah,
it's hard to like. Actually, no. My biggest mistake there was losing the gauntlet, and Grievous did nothing. And in this list, he needs to do something. Like, luckily for me, the Vulture droids actually were a bit lucky and didn't die as quickly as they might have done. Like, you can, like, I don't know if you're still watching the stream, people on YouTube, but you can see there's Derek right behind the Vulture droid, range 1 with a target lock, and that Vulture droid has 2 health and a calculate. Like, there's a good chance that that vulture dies, and it was very lucky that he didn't.
Yeah. But you've netted yourself a win in
Yeah.
in what is the toughest scenario for you, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, I just need to, and now I just need to ride out the rest of it, winning by scenario, and just avoiding the guns and letting my big scary gauntlet do big scary things.
Yeah. I believe we have Scramble the Transmissions up next. So
yeah, I'm playing tomorrow night.
Nice. I don't know when I'm playing yet, so we'll see that one. Right, guys. Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, and more importantly, the new IG pilots for the Rogue class Starfighter got spoiled, and I'm now very curious about them.
Yeah, definitely. Might have to get some more
because
Separatists
they're
back
all
on
the
the
set.
table.
The two ones I'm looking at are the same initiative as DBS 404.
Or more importantly, Grievous.
Whatever. I wasn't expecting them to have network calculations. Let's just get that. Like that was the last thing I was expecting. I was expecting them to have dead to rights, and I was kind of mad by that one. I was like, fine.
I'm not necessarily surprised by the different ship ability, but network calculations is not what I thought it would be.
No, I was not expecting network calculations. That makes things very interesting.
Yeah, because suddenly you've got something with quite a bit more health being able to tank out all those shots. Plus, you can.
No, enough on that. Like that was my first game. It was for me. This is hard for me to pick and critique my mistakes because everything kind of went okay.
Yeah. Like, I mean, watching it, I didn't notice anything major. I mean, yeah, we can and ah about whether stopping there with the gauntlet was the right move, but I mean, if it was me, I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive with Grievous. But that's just my style of play.
Yeah, well, the thing I had in the back of my mind is like, everything is going fine, and as long as this trend continues, I will just slightly win, and I will take a slight win.
Yeah, that's fair.
So as long as I don't screw up and give half points with Grievous or something like that, like the gauntlet going down was whoopsie daisy, but I mean, no, like even if I had got it right and I had rolled that one dice, like I think the gauntlet does still die this game.
Yeah.
Because the turn he died, like Derek still had a shot into them. So, like me having one extra die roll on the wedge shot at range 0 probably doesn't make a single bit of difference. But I think being in that situation, like if the gauntlet doesn't die and just like does a 2 straight from where we are on the screen over wedge, I shoot out the back. Next turn I stop. Maybe I rotate and shoot Blaum.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's the only one realistically that's going to be able to shoot you.
Yeah.
Maybe if Wedge gets that one bank in, he does a 3 Talon next turn, but
yeah,
then it's obstructed, so you're kind of nullifying his ability.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting.
All that. Oh, that's
we'll
all.
See what round 2 brings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on that note of optimism, we will call it. So, thanks everyone for listening or watching as always, and we'll see you next week.